Today on Sugar Spun Run, I'll be showing you how to make an olive oil cake. Hey Sugar Spun Bakers, Sam here, and today I am so excited to be sharing another carefully tested, well-researched, and perfected recipe. I love this cake because it's not too sweet. It has a light olive oil flavor, which we will be accenting with some citrus. I think you're going to love it, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first thing you want to do is get your oven preheating to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, we are going to need 4 large eggs for today's recipe, and I recommend that you use room temperature eggs. We're going to be dividing the egg yolks and the egg whites, so I'm going to crack them into a small separate bowl, and then to divide, so I always do a separate bowl, fish out that yolk, and I'm just going to pass it back and forth until I have all of that egg white in this bowl. Get it all in there. And then I'm going to place the yolks in a separate large mixing bowl. We'll get to those in a bit. Drop our egg white in a clean, medium to large sized mixing bowl. We'll repeat with the rest of our eggs. Third egg white. And again, these yolks are just going in my large mixing bowl over here. And our last one. All right, I'm going to set these egg whites aside. Let's bring back our bowl with our egg yolks. I have a large mixing bowl here. And to this, I'm going to add 1 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. And for the shining star of today's recipe, you will need 2/3 cup of olive oil. Now, this cake is not going to have a super oily taste. It sort of accents the cake. It has a nice subtle flavor that I think you're really going to love. We're going to be accenting this flavor with some citrus zest. Now, I like to use lemon zest. Orange zest would also work really well. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of zest for this recipe. Now, when you're zesting your lemon, one thing you want to take care to do is make sure you're not zesting it too deep. Now, once you get past the bright, sunny yellow layer of your lemon, there is a white papery layer called the pith. That is bitter, not sour. It doesn't have a nice citrus flavor, it just has a bitter taste. So once you see that white paperiness, stop zesting and move on to your next lemon, which I'm going to do now. Okay, now once you have 2 tablespoons of zest, we are going to need to juice the lemons because you're going to need 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Now, don't do this backwards and juice your lemons and then try to zest them because it doesn't work that well. Grab my juicer and I'm just going to squeeze this lemon into a measuring cup and measure out 2 tablespoons. A handy dandy little shot glass measuring cup. And look at that, we have exactly 2 tablespoons. That worked out nicely. Now, we don't need this just yet. I'm going to set it aside, and then I'm going to cream together or stir together all of the ingredients in my mixing bowl. So I like to make sure everything is really well combined. So I'll mix it on medium to high speed for about a minute. And once that's done, I will add my lemon juice that we just squeezed. We're also going to add some milk. We'll be using a 1/2 cup of whole milk. And we will stir these ingredients in as well until everything is nicely combined. And that only takes a second, so we'll set this aside now. And then in a separate mixing bowl, we are going to combine 2 cups of all-purpose flour with a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 3/4 teaspoon of salt. We're just using regular table salt today. And we will whisk these ingredients together until they are nicely combined. Okay, now bring back your cake batter from just a moment ago. And we are going to gradually stir our dry ingredients into our wet. I usually do this in 2 parts. I don't like to use the electric mixer anymore at this point, not for combining the wet and dry ingredients. And I'm just going to use my spatula to fold everything together until it is just combined. Make sure you're scraping the sides and bottom of the bowl with your spatula as you go. And once this is looking good, I'll add the rest of my dry ingredients. Stir everything together. Okay, so this is nice and uniform. So I'm going to slide that out of the way, and I'm sure you didn't forget about our egg whites from earlier. We are going to fit our mixer with some clean beaters, and we are going to beat these egg whites until we have stiff peaks. I'll show you what that looks like. I'm going to start on low speed, gradually increase to high, and I'm going to just keep mixing until these egg whites have increased in volume. They will be opaque, they will be thick and fluffy, and they will be glossy white. Now I love this technique of separating the egg whites, beating them to stiff peaks and folding them in separately. What I found is this cake tends to be a little bit more dense, which is fine. It should be a bit more dense than like your average yellow cake. However, I wanted a nice melt in your mouth crumb that was super plush and super tender. So whipping the egg whites separately really gives us this great texture. Yes, it is an extra dish that you have to wash, but I wouldn't have you do it if I didn't think it was really worth it. So we are almost there, a little bit further. You don't want to over whip your egg whites either. Let's take a look. So we have stiff peaks. It's kind of hard to see because they're small peaks, but if you lift the beaters out of the mixture, the peak that forms stands firm and tall. It doesn't fold back in on itself. I'm also going to show you with my spatula. Normally you wouldn't want to use an otherwise contaminated spatula with your egg whites, but since I am confident these are good to go, I'm comfortable doing it because we'll be combining these in a moment anyway. If you're still whipping your egg whites, you don't want to get any fat in there or they're not going to whip properly. But you can see, super thick and fluffy, holding its shape on the spatula. Let me put my hand behind it so you can see it a little better on camera instead of just having white on white. And now we are just going to fold this into our batter. Again, do not use your electric mixer at this point. We're just going to use our spatula. And I'm going to just fold this in, scraping through the bottom of the bowl and just gently incorporating those egg whites. You don't want to overdo it because we just did all of that work to whip them to stiff peaks. So if we just go crazy mixing it and break them up, then we've kind of defeated the purpose. So we're going to be gentle, just get them incorporated. We want to have a uniform batter before we bake it. This cake isn't even baking. It has no vanilla extract because vanilla actually will bully the flavor of the lemon a little bit too much, but the citrus and the olive oil together, I can already smell it. And it's going to smell even better once it's in the oven. Couple more turns. All right, now for our baking pan. I'm going to be using a 9-inch springform pan for this recipe, and that is what I really recommend using. This is a non-stick one. If yours isn't, you can go ahead and grease it with a little bit of baking spray. We will pour this right into our pan, and it's not a super thick batter. It's not supposed to be. It's nice and even in there. And then the last thing that I love to do is top it with a little bit of sugar. We're not going to be adding any frosting to this cake, so adding a sugar topping on top adds a nice extra touch of sweetness. The sugar candies a little bit, so it adds a nice texture, a little bit of crispness. I really recommend adding it. This is 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. A coarse sugar would work as well. Like if you probably wouldn't use turbinado, but if you wanted to use a coarse grain sugar, that would also be nice. And just evenly distribute this over the cake. Now we'll take this over to the center rack of our 350° Fahrenheit preheated oven, where it's going to need to bake for about 55 to 65 minutes. When it's finished, you'll notice the cake has risen quite a bit. It shouldn't be jiggly if you jostle it a little bit, and if you insert a wooden skewer in the center, it should come out clean or with a few moist crumbs, no wet batter. This cake has had some time to cool down, so what I'm going to do is my springform pan shouldn't stick to it, but just in case it does, I like to take a butter knife and just run it around the edge of the cake to loosen the edge. And then we can go ahead and pop the ring off. That came out pretty nicely. And now we can go ahead and dig in. Let's go ahead and cut a slice. So much I love about this cake, and I think you are going to love it too. Look at that crumb. It's beautiful. And that is how easy it is to make olive oil cake at home. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's recipe, and if you try this one out, please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Just love the crumb on this cake and that sugar on top. It's so good.